Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to the Adobe XD Daily Creative Challenge. My name is Howard Pinsky, Senior XD Evangelist here at Adobe, and a big good morning, or afternoon, or evening to everyone joining me live on Behance for day number, I think it's day number 3 of the XD Daily Creative Challenge. But a big good morning to Samuel and Tim and Marilyn and Cars and Nehamja. I apologize if I mispronounce your name. Alan and Kerwin and Michael and Scott and everyone joining me. Joss from Spain, if you are tuning in live, let me know where you're tuning in from. We're streaming live this week from beautiful, actually it was raining, San Francisco. Hopefully it clears up a little bit. And Michelle and Akash, it's midnight. Oh my gosh. Thank you for joining me while it's midnight. That's crazy. Alexander from Brazil, Larissa, Naveen from India. Awesome. So, day number 3 of the Adobe XD Daily Creative Challenge. As you probably have noticed by now, we're taking a progressive challenge this time, where sometimes we do, every day is a different, kind of completely different challenge, but this time we're going progressive. So the entire 2 weeks we're gonna be tackling a movies experience, kind of like a Netflix or a Hulu or that sort of thing, where you can dive into an app, you can watch your favorite movies, you can favorite things and that sort of thing. So let me hop over to my screen here. We've got the XD Daily Creative Challenge landing page, behance.net/Daily Creative Challenge. If you haven't pressed the big blue register button at the top yet, definitely press it. That way, at every single morning at 8 o'clock in the morning, you will get a notification when we release new challenges. That way you can really get started as soon as possible to tackle whatever that challenge might be. So every day you're gonna receive a challenge, and then you're gonna be joining me at 11:30 Pacific time, Monday to Friday, to kind of kick off and give you some inspiration on what you can do with that day's challenge. And then you're gonna use the keyword XD Daily Challenge to share that, whatever it is. You know, if we scroll down here, yesterday we tackled the splash screen, Tuesday, we tackled the splash screen and the landing page. Yesterday, we tackled the login experience. And today, Thursday, we're tackling the home screen. So we're gonna dive into that in just a second. If you haven't used XD before, you can grab it completely for free. And you can join us on Discord. So if I hop over here to Discord, here's our Discord channel. We've got nearing 4,000 people in here. Introduce yourself, let us know where you're from, what you do for a living, if you're a UI or UX designer, or if you're just someone kind of getting into the space, let us know. If you want feedback, you can throw your work in there. You can also give feedback if you're feeling generous. Ask questions, lots of different channels in there. Dive in, have some fun, it's a good time. Now before we dive into Adobe XD, it's also midnight in Bangladesh. Wow, well thank you for tuning in so late, or I guess early. Before we do that, I wanna take a look at a few challenge entries that have come in over the last few days, or at least last 24 hours. This one is from Aparna. I apologize if I mispronounce anyone's name. I love the use of illustration at the top here. It gives it a really nice, elegant feel. And then there is an interactive prototype, which you can publish directly from Adobe XD, copy the embed code, and throw it on Behance. Cool little animation with the film strip, and then down at the bottom, I believe she's using the paths in Adobe XD. As long as the paths have the same name, even if they're different shaped, they will morph into each other, which is super cool. And then there's the login experience, the sign up experience. Super cool stuff. So great job. Next one we've got Deep, and he's got this login experience going on. He's using little fingerprint reader, and then there's the video. So we can check out how this works. I play music, awesome. Nice logo, nice use of a gradient. Login and sign up buttons with a little bit of an animation for the Touch ID or fingerprint reader. Nice. And log in and you're taken to the home screen. Super cool stuff. And this one is from Arjun, who created this Netflix mobile prototype experience, which I thought, the presentation of this looks super cool. You've got the Stranger Things poster up at the top, little few device frames to show how things look, log in and sign up, landing page, and then a prototype. I thought that was super cool. And then we've got Jamie, who posted this. I think we took a look at this yesterday during my stream with Jessica. But what really stood out is this. I think the colors were changed. This cool little animation using all these lines that kind of come in. Let me play that one more time. Let me refresh this. And then launch this prototype. I thought this is super cool. It says movie, and then all of a sudden these lines come in and make this, you know, little, whatever you call this thing. I thought that was really cool. Nice job. And then we've got Danning, who created, got this video here. Let me go ahead and play this. And the one thing that kind of stood out to me in this one, and you'll see as, you know, as he goes through the sign-up experience, the actual button at the bottom, once he enters start name, email, password, the button at the bottom starts to fill up to kind of show you the progress of your sign-up experience. With, you know, it's a cool little touch because sometimes you have a progress bar by itself or you have some dots or whatever it might be, but to actually have the button itself fill up, I thought it was kind of cool. It's a nice touch. And then finally we have Sabina, who kind of, you know, took Andy's idea and made a Blockbuster application. I think that should be a new rule. Every single day we need some sort of Blockbuster integration into this challenge because RIP Blockbuster, right? I think there's still one Blockbuster that exists. I don't know why, but it's still there. So cool. So let's hop over to Adobe XD. If you have not grabbed the template yet, definitely head down here, grab the template, and also every single day shortly after the stream, I am gonna be uploading, where is it? A reference file. So anything I worked on during the stream, if I made some changes, or whatever it might be, I'm gonna be uploading it to Dropbox, so you can go to this link right here in the template, download the file, poke around, use some of that stuff for the inspiration or whatever it might be, and you know, have a good time. So this is the template that was provided by Marissa. There's a lot of really cool elements within this template. You got some logos you can use, some typography, some colors, and if you missed any of the streams, if there's a color scheme that really stands out to you, all you have to do is select all these colors here, press the plus button over here to the left in your assets panel, and it's gonna automatically add those in. That way you can very easily use them throughout your projects, but you can also keep everything up to date. So if you have, let's say, many elements using this color, right? Or maybe I change this button to this color here. And maybe, you know, these are also, this thing in the background is also this color if it's unlocked. There we go. Very easily, you can just right click on it, press edit, make the change, and it's gonna change across your entire document, right? So super simple, works with colors, character styles, components, that sort of thing. All right, so what are we tackling today? Well, let me zoom in here. I did make some changes to my design from yesterday, but you know, fairly visual changes. We have the splash screen that we tackled on Tuesday, which kind of revealed the logo and also the loading animation. So we used, if I dive in here, we used a mask and we're able to kind of mask out the little tail or the movie reel of this larger reel, whatever you want to call it. And it kind of revealed that tail. And then it kind of morphed into this login experience that we kind of put together yesterday. So if I click on this and I press play, we're gonna see it loads, and then it kind of does this cool little animation where the login experience kind of you know, flies up from the bottom. Let me play that one more time so you can see what's going on. We got the loading, and then phew, there we go. Fancy. And I will upload this to Dropbox afterwards if you want to poke around and take a look. But today we're going to be tackling the actual home screen where all the movies will kind of you know, show itself and that fun stuff. So I'm going to duplicate this artboard over here to the right. I'm going to name it home. And I do want to make a few changes you know, to start. I want to obviously make the logo a little bit smaller. So it's kind of, you know, up at the top, but it's there, but it's not super in your face and distracting. And I obviously don't want these login buttons anymore, so we're gonna deal with that. We don't want the sign up button, so we're gonna deal with that as well. So, and we also want a navigation bar. So at the, you know, let's go ahead and do that. So we have this curve layer right here, which I added in the previous screen. And I might want to, you know, use this to kind of reveal the navigation bar as well. You'll see what I mean. So what I'm going to do is I'm gonna double click to edit the path. I'm gonna make sure it's nice and straight. I'm gonna move that down. It does snap into place, so I can move all these points around. So it snaps and I have a nice straight line across my document. And then selecting all of these, I'm gonna move them down a little bit. And I want enough room at the bottom for my navigation bar icons. And this is an iPhone, I believe it's a 10s or 10s Max screen. So you have to keep in mind that they have that home indicator at the bottom. You cannot have anything down there. You also can't have interactions down there. A lot of apps do, but you're not supposed to. So I'll leave that right about there just to give a nice amount of breathing room. And then these buttons in the background, I'm just gonna move them up a little bit, just so they hide behind that white bar, or the white, whatever you wanna call it, the sheet, the rectangle, whatever it is. They're just gonna hide there, right? Now, in terms of the sign-in buttons, I might want them to just kind of fade away, so I'll move them down a touch, and maybe I'll just separate them and just drop the opacity. That way they just fade away as the animation is taking place. Now, what are we gonna do for the logo? Well, we could go ahead, because this is a component, we could go ahead and resize it down, you know, move it over here, just move it up to the top. But maybe I wanna get a little bit creative. And obviously these icons I can just grab, fix them into place, just like that, you know? So I could do that, right? And just make it a little bit smaller up there. But maybe there's two separate logos. Maybe the larger logo looks like this, right? But maybe the smaller logo is just the dots. Now, what's cool about components is that they kind of come with a mask, right? So I can just grab this real text, I can just move it down. And then I can grab my little dots, I can move them in. Maybe I want to line these two up a little bit, right? Just like that, grab these, make sure they're centered. That looks centered right about there. And then maybe that's the logo. And I'll put it up here. And you also have to keep in mind, because it's an iPhone 10 screen, that they've got the notch at the top. And of course, you could go ahead and go to the File menu, open Get UI Kits, and then you can grab the Apple iOS kit if you wanted to, if you really want to get the frame, so you can make sure that the notch is, you know, not being destructed. But it's somewhere up here, so I'll just leave the logo right about there. But now we have our, you know, cute little logo right at the top. We've got our navigation bar. And just to kind of see how this plays out, let's go ahead and animate this thing. So I'm gonna hop into prototype mode, go to my login screen, drag this over. Actually, you know what? I might want, when someone presses sign in, I'm gonna grab that, drag that over. It's gonna be a tap trigger. We'll do auto animate. We'll do in and out. And then we'll do a fairly quick duration. Let's try 0.6 seconds, see what that looks like. So we're on this screen now, and if I press, let me move this over here. There we go. If I press sign in, you'll notice got this cool little animation. Let me do that one more time, where the logo kind of squishes in and the dots are there. And then the white bar at the bottom kind of transforms into our now navigation bar. Now we need some icons down there. So very quickly, I'm gonna go to Nucleo. I'm gonna grab, and there's also some icons in this template over to the left. But just for now, I'm gonna grab, let's say, a home icon. This looks like a good home icon. I'll pop that there. We also probably need a heart for favorites. That looks good. Maybe a user icon. And then what else do we need? What other icons do we need for a movie application? Maybe a, what else do we need? Let me know in the chat. Maybe a play button, something like that. So let's go for a play button. Sure, why not? But let me know what kind of icons that we need for an application like this. I will go ahead and make these a little bit bigger, maybe to 40 pixels. Those are a little bit too big. Maybe 35 pixels. Change the border to white. I'm going to align them. And I might want, let's say, I could turn on my guides that I have in place. Pop that there. Pop this one over here. And those smart guides are helping me make sure everything's aligned. And I can make sure everything's aligned horizontally and distributed from each other. Perfect. All right, so now that we have a navigation bar at the, downloads. Yeah, Nisa says download, that's probably a good idea. Yep, all right, a cat icon, maybe. So we've got our navigation bar. Now we actually need some content, right? So this is a movie application. We might want some featured movies at the top. We might want some smaller movies that are part of categories as well. So what I'm gonna do is grab my rectangle and drag out for the first movie. Just drag out a box just like this. Turn my guides on, make sure everything lines up really nicely. Perfect. Maybe I'll want them a little bit rounded, just a tiny little bit. You can very easily do that by grabbing these handles on the inside. Perfect. I'll turn the border off. I'll just set it as a darker gray just for now, just so I can see it. And this is probably going to be a repeat grid because we might want to use a drag transition to go to see more of them. So Command or Control R, or press the repeat grid button over here. Boop, there we go. And I'll drag out, whoops, I'll drag out, let's say, 2 more cards horizontally. All right, we'll do 18 pixels in between. There we go. So now we have our featured images at the top. What we're able to do is hop into Finder or Windows Explorer and grab some movies. So let's grab this one. This one looks good, and this. And we'll just drag them directly into the grid. And there we go. We've got some movies. Now, down below, we might want some smaller areas that contain maybe the top movies of whatever category it might be. Maybe top movies of 2018, right? So what we can do, grab our text tool, top movies of 2018, make this a touch larger. That's probably a bit too big, maybe a bit smaller. I'll make this semi-bold, a little bit darker. There we go. And you know what? I probably want this to be, instead of the way it is now, maybe I want it sentence case. So we have these wonderful new buttons over here. We can make our text title case or uppercase, lowercase, and title case. So I'll just do that. It'll nicely capitalize the M and the O for me. Pop that there. And then we'll make one more grid. So we'll drag this out. This will be, we'll make these a little bit longer because these might be for posters, right? I'll set the fill to gray again, turn off the border, and repeat grid, Command or Control R. We'll do a few going across. Maybe we'll also do a few going down. Now, there's another way you can add movie posters to Adobe XD, right? What you can do is, just like we did before, you can grab a bunch of images within Finder. You can drag those in, just like I showed you a moment ago. And that works really well. There's also a plugin you may want to take a look at. Now, this plugin does not currently work with repeat grids. So what I would have to do at this point, now that I have the grid created, I would right-click and ungroup this grid. But now with all of these icons or these posters selected, under the plugins menu, go down to Discover Plugins, and if you're on Windows, it's under the hamburger menu to the left, and type in Movies. And you're going to find the Movies Poster plugin, and you can see more information about this. But I do have it installed already, and I'm going to go to Generate Movie Posters. And what I can do is I can search titles, so this will be 2018. I can also filter by genre if I wanted to. So if I can do the top action movies or the top adventure movies or horror movies or whatever it might be. But right now, we'll do, let's say, the best animation movies. And we press Generate, and it's going to take all of those posters, all those rectangles, and fill them in with the top movies of 2018 in terms of animations. So I can do, maybe I'll want top movies of 2018, then right underneath it, whoops, I might want animation. I'll make this a little bit smaller. Maybe I don't want it semi-bold. I'll do, let's say, medium or maybe even regular. Drop the opacity just a little bit, like that. There we go, and move that into place. Make sure everything lines up really nicely, and it does. All right, so now we have our basic landing screen. We might want to start animating some of this stuff. So let me duplicate this over to the right, and this might be for the drag effect. So we might want to see what it looks like when someone swipes that top section over. So all I'm gonna do is I'll hop over here to this repeat grid, just move this over to the side, just like this. And that's all you have to do. You have to just design both states, and Adobe XD will figure out the rest. So with this artboard selected, I'm gonna go into prototype mode, select the element that I want to drag. In this case, I'll select this image here and drag it over to the second artboard. And in this, the trigger dropdown, we don't want to select tap, because unless you do want someone to tap on the image and have things move over, but in this case, we want to select drag. And it's gonna automatically default to auto animate, which we'll have selected. You don't have to worry too much about the easing options for drag. And then once you press play at the top, you can just grab this and drag it over. And you can do the same thing going backwards. So maybe I want this over here to drag back to the first artboard. I can drag this way, I can drag that way. Super simple. And then finally, we might want to see what it looks like when someone clicks on one of these cards. We're not gonna get too deep into this, but so Kita says Howard subconsciously hates Android. I don't hate Android. I think Android's great. I have an iPhone, so it's just natural for me to go for an iPhone screen. So we've got this, and we might want to see what it looks like when someone actually, clicks on one of these movies. So I'm going to duplicate this over one more time, and let's say, Spider-Man, for example, right? We might want to enlarge this. So we can do that. We can enlarge this really nicely. Move this here. Make this nice and large. Now, of course, we're noticing an issue, right? We've got all these other movie posters that are just kind of on top. So if we know that that's the way we want to prototype things, what we're gonna do, we're gonna just grab these, move them all behind Spider-Man, just like that. And we want to make sure to do the same thing in the other artboards. So I'm gonna grab these, move them down, grab these, whoops, grab these, move them down, just like that. Great. And now, just like we did before, we can start prototyping. So we can select Spider-Man, drag this over. We're gonna do tap instead of drag, auto animate, and maybe we'll do, let's say, a snap. So at the top, it kind of just snaps into place, and we'll do a fairly quick duration of 0.4 seconds. So let's see this whole thing from the beginning. Of course, we'd probably go ahead and add some more information about this movie if we had a bit of time, but I'm gonna leave that up to your creativity, and you'll get super creative with this and do something cool. So let's see this from the very beginning. We're gonna press play. We've got our splash screen. We've got the loading animation at the bottom with the reel. We've got the login screen that comes up. We're gonna press sign in. We can see our movies. We can go back. We can go forth. We can press Spider-Man. Did I not link it up? Oh, you know what I did? I didn't also link it up to the first artboard. Now it's linked up. Let's do this one more time. Play. There we go. Loading animation. Fancy. Sign in. Drag over, and Spider-Man. There we go. So, that's about it. There's your inspiration for the day. For day number 3 of the XD Daily Creative Challenge. I will be uploading this shortly after the stream. I'm gonna grab some lunch, maybe make a few tweaks, upload it probably within an hour or so you can, pick at it, do what you want with it, and then I'll be back tomorrow at 11:30 with day number 4 of the XD Daily Creative Challenge. Thanks so much for watching, everyone, and I'll see you later.